Tonight, we need your continued prayers for the people of Eastern Kentucky impacted by what I believe is historic flooding.
All right, just after 1 o'clock, and we're on the air and on Facebook. A lot of folks have been wanting these updates, and we've got a lot to talk about. So we're going to be covering up some programming for a little while. We don't want to waste too much time here and go too long, but again, there's a lot going on right now. Brandon Robinson on Facebook and on air, because we are seeing a lot of activity out there tonight. Flash flood emergency is in effect until 4:30. Catastrophic damage possible.
Our death toll is growing. By the end, we expect it will be in double digits, and a lot of families out there have lost absolutely everything.
Can you talk about what's going to happen as the sun comes up and what's next?
As the sun comes up, a lot of heartbreak's going to come to reality. You're going to see the extent of the damage, and you're going to see what's truly happened overnight.
My first visual representation of northern Perry County was absolute chaos. Debris littering the roadways and people's lives lining up and down Highway 15. Northern Perry County, this is my home. Just really heartbreaking to even see this amount of destruction. It doesn't look that bad here, but little did we know this was just a small amount of the damage that had occurred in eastern Kentucky. And people were stopped here in the highway. They were just looking around, even towing this previously flooded car. People just could not believe what they were seeing at the time. I turned down towards my house and everything is underwater. Everything is destroyed. Water had went down at this time. People just trying to make it out or make it to their family. Roads destroyed every which way you look. And even people on side-by-sides, ATVs, just trying to make it to the people that need the help the most. Fortunately for this Jeep, they made it out of the water safely, but unfortunately there were 43 souls that did not.
I'm Storm Chaser Reed Timmer. I've been chasing storms for 25 years, tornadoes, flash floods, mega floods, hurricanes, urban floods, everything. And this by far is the absolute worst damage I've ever seen from a flash flood. I mean, the damage, the scope of the power is just not describable in words. What we saw today along Troublesome Creek, from Dwarf up through Hindman, up further up through the school, just the power of the water. I mean, the scope of the devastation is absolutely the most depressing thing that I've ever seen.
I can tell you this, and these are all scanner reports, so do with that information what you will. We have been told in Perry County, they can't get crews out fast enough to rescue people out of homes. There's so many water rescues ongoing right now that they're having to call out neighboring departments for help.
Central, any units that's available. Once again, we're going to try if anybody can get into 550. We've got multiple bodies going down the river now. People are hanging on to whatever they can, floating down the river now on 550. 550 is completely underwater with people floating down. We're trying to get people to 550 as best we can.
It wasn't long after we knew we had to do something. We started off with 3 loaves of bread and a couple packs of water, and let me tell you, the community definitely came together, and they came together quick for one another. Supplies came in from all over. A lot of them had notes just like this one. Volunteers coming in just to be able to help give out these supplies all the way from Texas, from Florida, from New York, California, you name it. Boots on the ground working for the people of Eastern Kentucky. Pallet after pallet of water going out as soon as the folks put them out on the tables.
I'll tell you right now, photos and videos doesn't it has no justice. If you see the things firsthand, you see it. It's your neighbors. You've been in the house. They're your friends. You grew up in the area. You know the entire area, and you see nothing but total devastation. And it's heartbreaking just to look around, and personally where I'm from was hit hard. Neighbors' houses completely gone. It's just really hard to see. And so you come together and try to set something up just for your neighbors and your friends.
So here we are, everybody, at the Lowe's in Hazard, Kentucky, loading up on supplies. Going to be passing these out and donating them to people in need. We got Reed over there. We're loading up chainsaws. Here we go. Here we go, everybody.
It's really, really sad to see you hear calls for help, and you can't get people to them.
And that's what we did. We started up in 10 Mile Creek Road, bringing what supplies we could to those that just could not get out, that have lost everything, whether it be towels, whether it be shovels, water, hot food. We were out doing what we can for those folks in need.
Any little thing that would help somebody start from zero. I think to myself personally, thinking, where would I start over if I were to completely start over with nothing?
These people are tough as nails, the most resilient people, the most nice people you'll ever see. They'll open their door for you out here, and they need help.
My name is Erin Milchman, and I'm the co-founder of Marco Patriots disaster response team based out of Marco Island, Florida. We follow regularly on Twitter storm chasers in order to get a good idea of what's happening in real time during disaster situations. And we came across Chris Hall, and I was following him very closely because he was right there in Hazard as these unbelievably dangerous flooding situations were happening. And that morning I remember waking up and reading just an unbelievable amount of devastation that had occurred while people were sleeping. And even for being in this business, it was a lot. Later, we heard about a family who had 4 children swept away in the floodwaters, and that there were dozens at the time of people that were missing, and we knew what that meant. So we got together with our team and put together a trailer full of dry goods, shelf-stable food, water, and our usual burger station so we could make hot meals for people. And we got on the road and we went to Perry County. Chris had set up a point of delivery, and Chris was just fantastic with relaying information to us. As soon as we got there, we found a family, also from Perry County, who had set up a barbecue station and was doing exactly what we intended to do, feed the people. And oftentimes when something terrible has happened to you, it means a lot to have a hot meal made for you, and it means even more if people come from across the nation to just let you know that you're loved. And we really didn't get a good scope of the damage ourselves because Chris had positioned us up in the hills and the damage was down in the hollers. So it was 2 days before I saw with my own eyes just how intense this situation was. The bridges were out, homes were leveled. We witnessed people walking just among the rubble of their own homes that they lived in for generations. And we witnessed also many structures that were not as sound as maybe they could be, and they just didn't fare well. There were homes just floating down the rivers. It was one of the most intense situations I've ever been in. And I know today that they could still use an awful lot of help. So if you've got a big heart, I'm hoping that if you want to give to whatever Chris is trying to achieve with this video, I hope you do that, and I hope that God blesses you.
My name is Chris Johnson. I'm a meteorologist at Fox 56. That's in Lexington, Kentucky. And we cover all weather happenings across central, southern, and eastern Kentucky. Well, I was covering for the morning meteorologist at Fox 56. He was out that week on vacation, and we just so happened to really turn into a pretty active stretch of weather. We had some rounds of showers and storms that moved through the area early to midweek, and that kind of set the stage for this catastrophic flooding event as far as the flooding was concerned that showed up late week. And we had 3 to 5 inches of rainfall prior to this event unfolding. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we had some rounds of showers and storms. The ground was really saturated, already had some flash flooding issues that were showing up. And this next round developed, and I remember waking up that morning. I got up real early, headed down to the office, was drinking some coffee, forecasting, and I remember looking at radar, and I'm saying, oh man, these areas in southeast Kentucky have already had 3, 4, 5 inches of rain. We just got past some flash flooding issues, and I had lots of photos folks were sending in showing a lot of water standing around homes and creeks and things like that, and it just got really bad. But that was prior to the event. So I wake up that morning, Thursday morning, I'm in the office, I'm looking at radar, and I'm thinking to myself, this is bad. Like this could be really, really bad. And what I was seeing on radar was just one storm after another lining up right behind each other, and they were all tracking from west to east, and that's what we call training. And those storms were training over the same areas, and that can lead to some really bad flash flooding issues. And that's exactly what it turned into. So went into the station that morning, went directly to my head producer, and I said, listen, we got some bad things going on right now in southeast Kentucky. The flooding, it is going to be a big, big problem. This is life-threatening, what I'm seeing on radar. We need to get people down there right now. That's what I said. I said, right now. This is going to be a big, big problem. This is life-threatening. And, you know, and I was working through the morning show. It started at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm tweeting out things. I'm getting stuff on social and Facebook, the whole 9 yards. And, you know, you kind of feel helpless when you're in a situation like that. The only thing I could do was get on the green wall on my weather hits and say, hey, listen, folks, big time flooding issues. We got more rain moving through, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. And this went on for several hours. And then folks started to send in some photos and videos, and you started to see the magnitude of this event. I mean, we're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 inches of rain that were falling over the same areas. Prior to that, they'd have already had 3, 4, 5 inches of rainfall. Some spots in southeast Kentucky picked up almost 1.5 feet of rain in 5 days. This was catastrophic. Again, ended up being a 1 in 1,000 year event, meaning the probability of this event happening unbelievably rare. And here I was working this event. I've covered tornadoes, you know, tornadoes that have been on the ground that have caused damage, but this was different. I worked at WYMT for a couple of years as a meteorologist down there, and I understand, you know, why folks feel the way they do across these areas, because terrain, the way the terrain plays into the flooding issues in the valley areas, and a lot of folks live in those valley areas, and it doesn't take much to get into some flooding problems when we get a lot of rainfall. So to see this kind of rain at this magnitude and the amounts that we were seeing in my professional career of 12 years, I've never seen anything like it. And I've never used the wording that I did on air. I was on screen saying, this is life-threatening, folks. You need to get to higher ground right now. You know, and I knew when I was on the wall, I was doing my weather hits at the station as we were going through the morning news. I knew people were more than likely losing their life. Could you imagine? And this happened overnight. Could you imagine being in that situation? You're asleep. You wake up at 4 in the morning water's rushing at a very rapid rate. And all of a sudden, your home starts to move. What do you do? Heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. This was an event like none that I've ever covered in my career before. And it was a tough, tough time. Yeah, getting on there and saying, listen, folks, this is life threatening. I don't know how any more serious I could be about what's going on, but you need to get to higher ground. This is catastrophic as far as flooding is concerned. And look at the picture. I've had it up for a little bit, but I think this picture captures so much in just one picture. This used to be where somebody's home was. You can see their front porch. They got a trailer with some things off to the side, and their home is gone. And there were so many photos like this. Homes, mobile homes that were floating down the creek. It is just unbelievable. And you see those things and you think, were those people okay? Did they survive? Did they get out? There were so many water rescues, helicopters rescuing folks sitting on top of their roof because they had nowhere else to go. This was the magnitude of this event. And, some communities still, they're not back on their feet yet. And I hate to say it, but I think some communities might never recover from this. Again, catastrophic event and very, very heartbreaking. And it was a tough day for me on air, one like I've never experienced before. It was a tough week. It was a tough month because I knew people lost their life. And when I worked at YMT, I actually was part of the weather team when we had another big flooding event hit portions of eastern Kentucky. It was Johnson County. They had 4 fatalities with this flooding event, and that was absolutely terrible. But I feel like this event just was catastrophic and was way worse than the flooding we had back in 2015, and that did so much damage. So many folks and families that were displaced because of the flooding, and just awful. But it was like this times 10. I feel like this event was just, again, something I've never seen before. It was heartbreaking. And again, it's like nothing I've ever experienced while working as a broadcast meteorologist from a professional standpoint. In southeast Kentucky, this is deadly just because of the terrain, the valley areas, the way things drain there, and just that all plays into it. When you get this much water, it eventually runs out of places to go. And I think we saw the result of that with this Southeast Kentucky flooding event last year. Again, there has never been an event like this in my professional broadcast career where I've been on air, and I know in the back of my mind people have lost or they're losing their life right now. The wording that I used, how it was coming across on air, and I still felt helpless on air. I still felt like I wasn't able to do enough, that's tough. That's really tough. To get on air and say, folks, this is life threatening. You need to get higher ground. We have rescues going on right now. I'm getting photos of folks who are trapped in their home. There's elderly people that are sitting on top of dressers as water continues to rise. There's elderly people that need to be at the hospital, that need treatment, or they're getting, that special care at home, and they have water that is rushing inside their home with no place to go. That's a tough feeling. That's heartbreaking. And to be able to see those photos and kind of do your thing on air hit different. And again, I had a tough day after work. I had a tough week, tough month. That stuck with me for a while, and I do believe it's going to stick with me for the rest of my life because I do this weather thing every day. But when Mother Nature throws us something like this, it's a tough pill to swallow. That's for sure. I feel like the last couple of years, and again, I've been doing this broadcast meteorology professionally for over 12 years now. And I will say, I do feel like over the last couple of years, dating back to when we had the December 2021 tornadoes in Western Kentucky that eventually worked into central portions of the state, that event was catastrophic as well. But I feel like these events are becoming more the norm. In a year and a half, we've had the December 2021 tornado outbreak, Western Kentucky, portions of Central Kentucky. This time last year, we had the Southeast Kentucky flooding event. And just a little while ago, we had the catastrophic flooding event in far Western Kentucky, where they picked up over a foot of rainfall. These events are starting to happen more often. And it's certainly grabbing my attention. I think it's grabbing a lot of attention from a lot of folks in the field, because we are seeing some things, some weather patterns and anomalies that we've never seen before. So, and I'm not trying to get into anything political here, but something's changing, something's happening. We're seeing more and more of these catastrophic events that are causing billions of dollars worth of damage. Something's happening. Something's going on. And, I think we're starting to see the result of some of that.
Justin Hunsucker, Whitesburg Police Department. I'm the Assistant Chief of Police there. So the morning of when the flood happened, I had no idea what was going on. I was going to be working night shift that night because my brother was going to be taking off work. I got a phone call from my night shift supervisor. He said, "You need to get to Whitesburg." I'm thinking, why do I need to get there? I don't work till tonight. He said, "I just watched 2 people drowned." That's basically all I got, and I just hopped up and got ready, took off. I didn't know what else to do. I live in Perry County and work in Letcher, so it's a little bit of a haul. It's about 40 miles for me to get there. I got up. I had a Durango at the time. Now you can see I've got a truck. Took the Durango from here, fast as I could get there. Time I got to the top of the hill here, I watched a building fall over the hill. That was while I was still in Perry County. Kept going. Wasn't too bad till I got to about Red Fox in Knott County. When I got to Red Fox, it was almost impassable to get by. The Durango, it's all-wheel drive and got pretty good clearance, but it didn't matter. Got past all that finally, made it to Isom. There at the bank where I think it's the Whitaker Bank in Isom, I had to touch the guardrail with the Durango to be able to get by the water. I think I've actually sent some pictures of that where it was. There's storage units there, you could barely get by. I get to the other side, keep going, get up there to, I finally make it into Whitesburg. I make it past the new Dairy Queen. It was still pretty high water, and made it to the Whitesburg Middle School. At the middle school, we have some houses down there near it. So Appalachian Wireless was a complete failure. I don't care to put that in any kind of statement, writing, whatever. We had no communication whatsoever with the cell phone. Our radios did work, and if you could get to Wi-Fi, it would work, which was crazy. But I go down there to the school, and like I said, first thing, I just start stripping stuff off because I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I take everything off, leave my radio because I didn't want to junk it, and start trying to help with water rescues. I'm not a very good swimmer, didn't claim to be, but I jumped in the water anyway and kind of just held ropes and stuff. Other people was really who was doing the rescuing and saving. Jamie Hatton, he was our county attorney. He was on a kayak. Byron Thomas, he's a doctor at Mountain Comp. He's on a kayak. He's going over. They're getting people out. They're getting Tyler Smith's mom and dad. Tyler's a Kentucky State Trooper. His mom and dad was in their double wide right beside of the elementary school in Whitesburg. We started getting them out and getting them across. I think there was ended up being, I can't remember 100%, at least 2 more individuals in their house. got all them out, and then moved on down past the school where there's more residents, which is called Park Street. Get down through there, and it's just a continuous cycle of hitting those houses and see if anybody was there and if they wasn't. Once we made sure all that was clear, get back out of there, I'm heading toward the next area. Well, by that time the water got so high at Dairy Queen, which is called Hazard Road there. It's one of the main roads to get in and out of Whitesburg if you're going on the back road. Couldn't tell how high it was. I had somebody with me that actually tried to help some more residents there. He'd actually had a chainsaw and was cutting through roofs trying to get people out. But we got to that part at Dairy Queen in that Durango, and basically I was like, we have to try to get through this. I don't know what else to tell you. We can't go the other way. There's water that way, there's water this way. If we stay here, it's going to take us. So we start through it. My Durango, I don't know if you know how high a Durango is. Some people do, some people don't. It goes all the way over the hood. It crests the hood all the way over the top. I make it all the way through. It's starting to spit and sputter. I make it to the red light at the Dollar Tree. Boom. That's it. Try to start it again. Looks like a smoke show from like some kind of concert, you'd think. So I knew that was it. Called my boss, Tyrone Fields, his chief of police. I said, come pick me up. Let's get me to another car. So we try to go to our city garage, which is near Food City in Whitesburg. We go down there. I was like, let me get that Crown Vic so I at least got a vehicle to drive. And we get down there, Crown Vic's completely underwater. So I have nothing to ride, so I'm riding with him. And at that time, seemed like all the gas stations went down. And I'm trying to, it all comes back to you in waves, you're trying to remember, but we had to end up going all the way to Hyman to get gas, but that's a whole other ordeal. But we keep going, make sure, we've got other guys doing stuff there at Circle Drive near the old vocational school. We've got people at Upper Bottom, which is a very heavy populated area. Trooper Brandon Watts and Sergeant Jay Perkins of the Kentucky State Police, they were wonderful in Upper Bottom. They done everything they were supposed to do. They got on boats, they saved people. Charles Caldwell, he's our fire chief in Whitesburg now. He can't swim, he still saved people in Upper Bottom. I can't say enough about those guys and what they done. Some of that stuff still traumatizing, people still trying to get their houses together, get their affairs in order. It's crazy to see. I mean, half the stuff's not there anymore. Now stuff's tore down. FEMA's bought them out or they've sold out, but it don't even look like the same place anymore. But each day we're trying to recover and figure things out one day at a time. The police department in general, we had one of our officers actually got flooded himself. So that was kind of a whole other ordeal. We was trying to take care of him, trying to take care of other people. We had our dispatcher at the time, she got flooded. It was basically just trying to take care of your own. Some people didn't know what to do, and some people did. You know, it's kind of like some people knew just to jump at it and let's get it figured out, and then some people was kind of like, boom, blow it away. They didn't have a clue what to do. But other than that, most of my guys especially had pretty much the same reaction, just let's get it figured out. And there at the beginning, you know, it's 24-hour days, and then we'd step down to 20-hour days. I'd come take a shower and a nap and go back. Then we kept stepping down, then man, help from everywhere. You're talking about, I mean, just the outpouring of, I can't say, I wouldn't even want to try to name them all, there's too many, but some people sent 4 officers, some people sent 6, some people sent 2, some people sent 1, whatever they could do. It was very helpful for us to get that break, but in general, everybody had pretty much the same response besides, you know, like I said, we had the officer that got flooded, and we had the dispatcher that got flooded, so still want to take care of them at the same time and keep their needs in mind as well as everybody else's. Well, we're coming up on the year anniversary of it, you know, and it's going to bring a lot of anxiety for people. It's going to bring a lot of stress for people. Every time it rains, like it's raining right now, people get stressed and anxious, and I understand. We seen, you know, just the other day, we had a little rain and Knott County was about flooded again. Some of the road work that's been done, I don't claim to be an engineer. I don't claim to be a construction worker. I feel like a lot of the stuff was half-hined in just to make money, and that's okay. I'm glad they made money if they're local for sure, because they're probably putting money back in the community. But we got to do better. We're driving on roads right now that's not drivable for anything. Not four-wheel drive, side by side. You can barely get to my house, which I'm not worried about me. It's more other people, you know. But we're paving roads that don't need to be paved. I see that a lot. We're fixing things for wealthier communities, I guess, is what you should say, and that's part of it. That's fine. I want everybody to win, but we need to take care of our other people first.
Talking about the flood, see, my memory of the flood, I remember I went to bed that night, and it was raining as hard as I've ever remember it raining. But the one thing got my attention, I told my wife right before I went to sleep, is the thunder was continuous thunder over and over, and the lightning and the thunder. And before I went to sleep, I told my wife, I said, I'd never heard it thunder like that before. And I went to sleep. About an hour or two later, I got a call from one of the deputy coroners called me on my cell phone and said, if you need any help, let me know, we're out. And I said, help with what? He said, it's a disaster out here. He said, it's everything's flooded like anything we've not seen. And so I got up. It's about 1:30 in the morning. I got up and started checking things out and tried to get out of where I lived at over at Lost Creek, and was trapped by all directions. The water was above the road. I couldn't get out. Any way I go, I could not get out of here. I was just stuck. So I was kind of helpless. And, at the same time, first fatality come in, it was my great aunt, my grandpa's sister. So she had, about 3 o'clock that morning, I had to go tell my mom that her favorite aunt had drowned in this flood. And we knew it was bad, but we didn't really know what was going on. It was dark, it was raining, the electricity was off, you couldn't go nowhere. So finally daylight came, and we still didn't really get a grasp of what was going on. It took about 2 or 3 days to really understand getting out in the county, to really start understanding how big this thing was and what had happened. And that first week was a blur, and there wasn't really no rest. I didn't sleep much, or nobody really slept much in my department or whatever, till we got all the bodies recovered, all the people. And I just remember us having to get those bodies out of the troublesome creek and down through there. And it's something I won't never forget. And never driving down through 476 and 550 through Rowdy and them places, never be the same, knowing what happened or what went on there. But and not only just the damage, the lives that was lost, and the people hurt, and just people lost everything they had. And still the damage, they're still working on the damage and the stuff going on. So yeah, they say the flood definitely, it changed all of everybody's life, especially up on this end of the county, this northern part of the county. Where it got hit, it changed everybody's life, I think. As long as we can remember. They'll be talking about this long after we're all gone, and hopefully this documentary, people can look back on it and see some of the stuff. And I remember you, Chris, you was one of the first ones started, you immediately started getting stuff together, and was really one of the first people probably the first person to take donations up. And you had, I remember those, I knew it was bad when I seen those storm chasers in there from other places, and they was in there quick. And when I seen them there, I said, this is something bigger than we've ever seen before. But I never knew the storm chasers, how much they helped. They helped us. You helped us, and the other ones, they helped us, and the Cajun Navy and all these other places, they helped us help people. They don't only come to look and watch things. I never knew that about storm chasers, but they don't just come and look and try to get video. They actually make sure human life's preserved before they do any of that other chasing stuff. So that's one thing that impressed me about that. And then they started helping people, giving stuff like the was it Reed Timmer? That went to Lowe's and give me a chainsaw and that other stuff, and that just really impressed me. But yeah, the storm, it was definitely something that I hope never happens again, but it was a life-changing experience. Yeah, one thing, I think that we definitely would be more prepared for something like this in the future, having experienced it and gone through it. But you know, it was really well, the first responders and just the local and the state government, they was really well prepared, and there was a really good response to it. Our volunteer firemen, those guys are, you know, heroes, you know, seeing those young guys jumping boats and going down the middle of those creeks and stuff. So it was a really well responded to, but I think even more so that we're even more and better prepared to respond to something like that in the future. God forbid it ever happen, but I feel pretty good about the response. Just pretty much my overall thoughts and memories of this thing. I'd never seen so much pain and hurt in this community in my entire life, but also I'd never seen so much good, and the good outweighed the bad. You know, people lost a lot, lives was lost, so much hurt and pain and anguish, but the good, the people that came out, they said any kind of differences anybody had aside, you know, there wasn't any kind of sports rivalry or crosstown rivalries or political rivalries, all that stuff for during that time went out the window, and everybody just pitched in. People was handing out food, people was helping people, and the community just really came together, and the good in people. I will remember more good about that than I ever will bad, but the good that people showed, and we've got good people here, and the good that people showed, and there's still to this day, people still in this community helping others that's affected by this flood, getting on that. So that's kind of my thoughts and my reflections on it, and I'll remember it as long as I live, till I go to my grave. I won't ever forget the flood of 2022.
I wish I could tell you why we've been hit by so much between the pandemic and ice storms, tornadoes, and now this. But what I can tell you is we see God in the response, and the special people that are out there, and the way people open their homes and their hearts to help each other.
The people from Perry County, Kentucky, I can tell you, are some of the kindest, most loving, wonderful people, welcomed us and welcomed the help.